Hi, welcome to the final edition of the Quicksilver Audio Full Function Preamp Restoration video, AKA Pimp My Preamp. All right, so I think we're finally done here. We're finally done here. So we've done a few things just to update the final mods. As a quick overview, if you haven't seen the other few parts, we've recapped the entire power supply. We've replaced all the interstage and output coupling capacitors with either Mudorf metallized polypropylene or Solen film and foils, as well as rebuilding the power supply in the analog section and the phono section, and rebuilding the coupling caps in the phono section as well. So you can see the Celnics there and the signal paths. And for more details, you can look at the previous videos. So, but as an update to the power supply, one thing we had done is we had acquired these Kemet caps for the filament supply, and I didn't realize that I had ordered the ones with the studs, with the mounting studs on the top. So at first the ones without the studs were back ordered for several months, and because I didn't want to wait, I thought, well, I'll just saw off the stud, and then maybe we'll use these little caps to go over the capacitors to kind of blend it in, and really didn't super excited about that idea. But then after doing some testing, we had also increased a couple of the power supply capacitors from the factory 160 microfarads up to about 220, and started to get a lot of buzz out of the transformer, and I think it was just too much capacitance. So we backed these down, these two guys right here, down to, I can show you, it's actually these two guys, which were supposed to be 190s from the factory, but they're actually 160s. And because we didn't have a suitable replacement, we just replaced those with 150s, the same used in this other section, 150s here. So, a little less capacitance than factory, but these are all plus or minus 20%. So, maybe if we tested them, we're pretty close to the OEM. I mean, within, a few percent anyways. So we're going to see if that works, if that takes a little less strain off the transformer, and should be plenty of capacitance. And then now that we have the new filament transformers without the studs, we don't really need the caps anymore. I also noticed that, it's kind of interesting that some of these little caps, these are capacitors, caps on the caps, they were pretty close together, and there was a bit of vibration. I didn't notice that, but there's a good, I guess a good story to be told about isolating the power supply, because transformers actually give off a little bit of vibration, and you can actually feel that vibration in the capacitors, and I'm sure that could be transferred. And because these caps, these little cover caps, were actually taking up a little space and then making the caps touch each other, I think it just amplified the vibration. So I think having the caps isolated from each other, you can see the spacing between them is pretty narrow, will stop that vibration from multiplying, from affecting the capacitors and then being transferred to the chassis. So, sometimes things in theory seems like a good idea, but it doesn't look quite as cool as the red on top, but it kind of blends in and looks nice. So anyway, so we'll talk about this later. We'll be doing some sound tests, and then we'll also be matching this up with some matching Quicksilver KT88 mono blocks that we also modified, and we'll talk about that next. All right, here's the Quicksilver full function preamp in its natural habitat. And we can see we have some power there. See the 5AR4 is all glowing, and going over a little bit of the insides there. Pretty dark picture. Sorry about that. Bad lighting. We didn't replace any of the resistors. A lot of people were asking about that little Allen Bradley input resistor back there, right there, if you can see it. Maybe let me try to get some better lighting. All right, there we go. There's some better lighting. So what I was mentioning is, in the prior videos, you might have seen there was some discussion about replacing those two Allen Bradleys in the back, those two resistors that feed the first gain stage of the phono section, those input resistors. And we decided we just left those in there. You know, it's kind of a classic touch, so we didn't replace those. We actually haven't replaced any of the resistors. Like I said, just the coupling caps on the output stage and the interstage coupling caps with those nice Solen film and foils. So yeah, no resistor changes yet. These are real nice. Still trying to see if that noise comes back. I thought maybe one of the cathode resistors were starting to fail. That's why I, thought about changing these out. But we just left these as they are. So we got this all warmed up. Let's see if we can do some sound checks and see what this sounds like. Right, if you haven't seen this before, here's a nice close-up of the controls. So here you have individual stepped attenuators for the left and right channel. They're Alps, and they're actually stepped, which is pretty nice. You have a quick 0 to -20 dB. It's kind of like a mute, but if you want to drop the signal down, you just click that over. And then it's wired for either mono, which is great if you want to run a mono phono cartridge, mono, stereo. You can reverse polarity, or you can just tilt the soundstage a few dB towards left or right. And then of course you have your tape loop on and off, and then your input selector here, which is really nice. So remember the old video days, an auxiliary, tuner, CD, and then your dedicated phono section. So really, really nice controls. It's one of the things I really enjoy about the Quicksilver. And at first I didn't think I would like the individual gain controls, but these are they're actually very precise. They're very well matched, and they're just a dream to use. All right, thanks for tuning in. More stuff to come.